Hello and welcome back to a new episode of Ground Tactician The Civil War, where we are playing the Union career mode. Last episode we got command of all Union armies and navies and we put them to a good use. Our forces drove the rebels across the Rappahannock and we are currently in the process of capturing Fredericksburg, Staunton and Lynchburg. And as much as I would love to simply press our advantage, we cannot easily do that. To make sure that we remain on the initiative, it is necessary that we make slow advances to not lose too much of our readiness. If our readiness falls into the orange or red, we are unable to move and we are also unable to support our forces. We currently field 8 armies, and to make sure that we are going to have a good fighting strength against the rebels, especially once they start to make forceful subscriptions, I started to recruit a couple more units. And I've also started recruitment of our own army of the Shenandoah. The purpose of those cavalry units will be to hunt down small enemy forces like Field's Corps or the Confederate Army of the Northwest that are stuck behind our lines but that are quick enough to run every time that we are chasing them. Over in the west, we are soon going to be able to maybe follow this railroad line all the way to Petersburg and then threaten Richmond, forcing the Confederates to withdraw further to the south if we weren't able to break through their lines at that point. And over here in the north, if possible, I want the 4th Division to link up with our main force. No, their readiness is too low, they cannot move in enemy territory. But our high command can get back, and the same goes with the 1st Division of our army of the Northwest. Around Fredericksburg we are focusing on the army of the Potomac and the Department of Pennsylvania, and it is time that we are getting a few more units over. And to also get the generals closer to the fight. The quicker we capture Fredericksburg, the quicker we can force the rebels back. And now it is time to press play and to watch out how the rebels are going to move. Over here the rebels are so kind to build us a new supply hub. And as soon as our commander from the army of the Northwest is back, we are going to push. We can see that the army of the Potomac is about to get in contact with our forces. And their command has now withdrawn. Let us get the 5th Division and the 2nd Division over the Rappahannock to make sure that they're not trying to sneak by our lines. We can see that they have Johnston's division down here. And I actually want this unit to hang back. They are going to... Well, they are currently unable to build a fort. Maybe they can do it once they have reached their destination. We can see that the enemy has messed up a huge amount of soldiers over in this region, meaning that over here the enemy force is rather weak. But we are of course under danger that they are trying to overrun these lines. And we have now received news that there was a disaster at Pamlico South. The 2nd Atlantic blockading squadron is in retreat and we have lost apparently 3 ships. Now let's find out how the situation is looking. Last time I was checking on our navy, it was far superior, and this is the first Confederate naval victory. Our other squadrons are looking fine though. And I have to be honest that I haven't looked into the naval engagements, and I actually do not really know how to effectively manage them. If you have tips for that, please let me know. Our 4th Division is now able to move, and if possible I want to use the railroad. This should make sure that they're moving a lot quicker. Once they're there, they're going to build up fortification. And over here we can see that Field's Corps has moved back. They have built a supply station that supposedly we are now in control of. Over here the army of New York has arrived at their target, but they are unable to move. And down here we have almost captured the city. First Division is also looking good, and this Confederate force around Union is still sitting idle. Let's get the First Division down, maybe we can then capture this town a little bit quicker. And we can see that the Confederacy has a foundry over here. It would be very nice for us to capture that. And I think one of the best approaches that we can make is to hunt down Johnson's division with 1,100 soldiers and to then focus on this massive Confederate force over here. And the 3rd Division should be strong enough to do so. Let's give the order to advance with the 3rd Division. And of course with the headquarters, so that we have a good close look on our forces. Over here the 4th Division should be able to construct a fort. And with that our rear should be protected. And it looks like the Confederates are withdrawing without a fight. They are now dangerously close to Morgan's raiders. And I wish I could have a closer look on the Confederate lines. It looks like they have started to recruit a new corps over there, Hill's Corps. I do not think that they were on the battlefield previously. And it looks like the army of New York can actually move. Let's get them forward to protect our forces over here. And we unfortunately have to leave the 4th Division behind while the rest of our forces are getting ready to hit the rebels. Let's get everyone forward and into position so that we can hunt down these rebel forces over here. Commanders of the armies over here also need to get forward. 2nd Division also get closer to the field. The 2nd Division of the Department of Pennsylvania is in contact with the army of Shenandoah. We have roughly 17,000 soldiers, while the enemy has 18,400 men present on the battlefield. But I'm getting sure that both sides are going to receive heavy reinforcements, depending on how long this battle is going to last. Gentlemen, today is the 16th September 1862. Our scouts report that the enemy is near Guinness Bridge, Virginia, and our army is to prepare for battle. We are facing the army of the Potomac under command of Maxcy Gregg with some unknown strengths of men and artillery. The enemy army is green and the morale is reported to be broken. Reports indicate their supply situation is outstanding. The supply state of our army is outstanding as well. And we can see that the enemy has dug in alongside the Telegraph Road. The most obvious route to attack is of course alongside the farms of Cox and Goodwin, but we could also outflank the enemy alongside the Mine Road. The battle can begin, and I have to report that the cohesion between our forces is not the best. Some parts of the army of Pennsylvania have deployed towards our north, and some parts of the army of the Potomac have deployed all the way to the west, meaning that it is going to take a long time until all of our forces have received their orders. But to make sure that we can gather our soldiers and move forward, I've decided to gather all of our forces alongside the Stansbury Hill, Cemetery Hill and Fredericksburg proper. Then we can divide our force alongside the Telegraph Road and alongside the Main Road to attack the Confederate forces. And it looks like the Confederates have received their first wave of reinforcements. And it looks like the Confederates have now received their second wave of reinforcements streaming onto the battlefield. It is now almost 19 o'clock and the last parts of our forces are streaming onto the battlefield. I think the day is going to come to a close very soon, but let's at least give some orders to move our soldiers forward. Our men have been organized And the Department of Pennsylvania is going to set up over here, while our Army of the Potomac is going to set up a flanking attack alongside the military road. But we now have 19 o'clock, so I doubt that our forces are going to arrive in time. The second day of fighting can begin, and so far we have not received any reinforcements. But the rebels received some reinforcements over the night. We now field in total 18,975 Union troops, while the rebels have 9,700. We can see that the rebel reinforcements have dug in alongside the Hazer Run and the unfinished railroad, while the majority of their forces are still sitting alongside the Telegraph Road. As I didn't know where the enemy is going to approach, I have deployed the 1st and the 2nd Division as a rearguard, while our 3rd Division has prepared for battle. They're going to march forward to fortify the region alongside Cox and Goodwin, while the rest of our forces are going to prepare to hold back the enemy over here. And on our eastern flank, the Army of the Potomac is ready to march forward towards the military and mine road. From there on outwards, we will attack the flank of our enemy. Let's order our forces forward and have a look how the situation is going to develop. Ideally, we are going to catch enemy reinforcements alongside this road, but they of course could follow the mine road and completely avoid our forces. We can see that the enemy is sending out some skirmishing detachments and their artillery is opening fire. Our cavalry took a few casualties, but once our own artillery is setting up, we should have an easy time defeating our enemy. For now, we are going to focus our artillery on counter battery fire. As we are waiting for our flanking force to arrive. And we can see that the brigade commanders and a few of the enemy units have started to attack our flank. Let's order this brigade to set up. Come on, man. Why can't I order you to do something? Well then, 15th Massachusetts. Get ready to face the enemy. 1st Connecticut, you are also ordered to dismount. And face enemy cavalry. The 2nd Connecticut is outnumbered. Why do you want to give them the cold steel? Please just shoot at them. March over here. We should have an easy time defeating these forces. They only have 7 men. They looked scarier on paper. Over here our forces are approaching. And we can see that some parts of the enemy force are now moving. Their reinforcements have so far not made it to our lines. Let's hope that our reinforcements make it in time. 1st Connecticut, you can... Nope, mount up again. And we can see that the enemy is starting to shift. We can see that the enemy is trying to shift to our weaker flanking force. This could, in theory, allow them to inflict some heavy casualties. And we can see that the enemy over here is now preparing to move. But we have 2 divisions ready to hold them back, therefore I am not very worried. 1st Division, I want you to move up closer to the river. And it looks like they are trying to avoid us. We can see that over here the 2nd Arkansas and the 20th Georgia is now preparing to face our soldiers. Or at least it looks like it. Most likely they are trying to get away. We're going to send out some skirmishers just to harass the enemy while we make our approach. And over here I hope that our soldiers are getting ready soon. It looks like the majority of our force is not going to be there when the battle begins, meaning that it is going to be a little bit more chaotic. But we will manage. Cadwallader, you need to get forward. And down here the battle has begun. We were able to capture some of the enemy forces before they could retreat, and now it is time to give them a beating. I want these cavalrymen to move into these woods. And over here, more of our forces are approaching. Now, these skirmishers have made the first contact, but it is more likely that they are going to withdraw soon. But they give us the time that we need to set up our men. Over here, our flanking force is arriving. It looks like the enemy flanking attack got stopped by our advance. But over here, they are able to link up with their forces. Let's find out if the 2nd Division wants to follow this road or if they're also going to take the detour down. Otherwise, we will need to send these forces forward. The men are currently setting up. And our cavalry is now getting flanked. Let's order our cavalry back. 3rd Illinois is coming up together with the 18th Massachusetts. They should have an easy time dealing with the 13th South Carolina. Over here, this detachment got driven back. I cannot blame them. 17th Pennsylvania is coming up to hit the 2nd Tennessee Battery. These men from Illinois need to fall back. 5th Massachusetts is hopefully not going to be outflanked on their current position. Over here we have almost an entire brigade in deployed. Let's get them forward on the road. And over here, this brigade is needed immediately on the flank. Let's hope they're going to arrive in time, because over here our forces are in a bit of danger. '13th South Carolina suffered a couple casualties. Let's get our men forward so that we can hunt the enemy. And we have the 4th Illinois broken. I think they are a fresh unit. Our forces over here are doing a decent job. Let's order our artillery to set up. And let's disperse our field of fire a little bit more effectively. The 12th, I want you to move forward just a little bit. Campbell's detachment is hopefully still raining down on the 2nd Tennessee Battery. They only have very limited artillery in this unit. We should have an easy time defeating those. And over here, this regiment together with this one need to immediately attack the enemy. Some of our forces are trying to set up, but sometimes it is better to give immediate commands. These artillery pieces, however, need to move up over here. We are still looking at a minor defeat. We have so far suffered 450 casualties while the enemy suffered 500. And we can see that we have routed the 2nd Texas Artillery. These men have now earned their first perk, and I guess close support is the most valuable at the moment. The 2nd Division has a couple soldiers that are in action, and that I therefore cannot deploy anymore. 5th Brigade, you are needed to push up. 4th Illinois, you are going to get on that flank. We are needed, and we have to hold the enemy back. I do not know where this brigade commander is going. Let's order him to face back. We need everyone over here. We can see that we are doing a massive amount of damage over here, but the 9th Massachusetts has started to withdraw. The 9th Maine, my apologies. Where is our flanking force? It is arriving and we are doing some damage to the enemy. Let's hope it is going to be enough before our flank breaks. Unfortunately, over here it was not possible to set up our flanking force already. Let's get these brigades forward. Let's give another order to move up. These men should have received the orders by now, but they have ignored it. And more of our men are coming along. It looks like we might be forced to withdraw from here. Let's get the brigade commanders backwards. And we simply need to hope that we can hold out over here. 6 Illinois is now in contact with the enemy. Come on, man, start to set up. And we can see that some of their forces are currently holding back. This is at least something and gives us some breathing room. More of our forces are coming up. These men are rushing back to their designed positions. And over here we can start to move forward and to hit the enemy. 2nd Delaware has suffered some casualties. I want to focus them on Grand Battery. This should give them a good advantage. Let's order these guns to focus on fire at will at the moment. We can see that the 17th has suffered 120 casualties already. These cavalrymen are still on the field. And the 6th has also suffered some casualties. 20th Pennsylvania, where are you running? Stay and hold your ground. Help is on the way. We are now hitting the 12th Arkansas over here. These artillery pieces can shoot on the 14th Mississippi Battery. The same goes with these 3-inch ordnances that can now also focus on enemy artillery. The rest of our forces move up and hit the enemy rear. This is the best option that we have to really start hurting the enemy. We can see that our flank is massively weakened. And we are really not using our forces effectively in this fight. But we will have to hold out. Some of our forces are green. They are going to run. Over here I want the 2nd New York to move forward to hit the 1st Georgia Cavalry. And with reinforcements now arriving on the field, we should be able to turn this fight around. Let's get these regiments forward. All of our soldiers just need to hold out until help is there. We have the commander of the Army of the Potomac basically in front of our rifles. Let's hope some of our soldiers are going to take a couple lucky pot shots. And I want this brigade to move down. Over here we should be able to outflank the 21st. Very good, we are doing some damage. And we can see that the enemy cavalry is advancing there behind our lines. Let's get these cavalrymen forward. They should have an easy time destroying them. Some more of our forces have now routed. Let's order these men to fall back to hopefully make sure that our line does not break completely. Come on, men, get forward, get forward. Enemy artillery is now starting to get outflanked. Our soldiers are in contact. And we are doing some damage. It is not a whole lot, but we are at least able to do something. These cavalrymen need to protect our flank. And we can see that over here the enemy has started to push. You men, move over here. We are now driving away the enemy from the Telegraph Road junction. Let's get these men forward. And down here, this brigade needs to cross the river and get into contact. Some of our men over here are also wavering. Morale is a problem with these fresh forces. And it looks like our flanking force might have arrived a little too late to really turn the tide. Well, these men have not joined the fight yet. Let's get them forward over here. And we now just need to contain the enemy over here so that we can hit the enemy rear. Currently this fight is not looking so good for us. We have taken over 1000 casualties. The enemy thankfully suffered over 1300 casualties. And within a short while we should start to take control of their positions. Let's order our guns to focus on the enemy artillery line. 9th Massachusetts, you need to move forward. And these men are once again ordered to move forward. If we can silence their guns, we would have a much easier time in the upcoming fights. 1st Georgia is taking some casualties. Let's order our cavalrymen to dismount. They should hopefully give them a lower profile. 2nd Arkansas is still on the field. They haven't taken a lot of casualties. Come on, artillery, focus on their guns. Over here, let's get the divisional and the corps commanders forward. So that we can finally do some damage. 7th Virginia Battery has taken over 11 casualties. Their unit should fall quickly now. And some of our men are able to rejoin the fight. I'm simply going to order them onto the enemy. This should help with the order delay. We can see that the enemy is still contesting us over here. The 4th South Carolina is fighting together with the 17th North Carolina. The side over here seems to be holding. Some of our men are still coming up. Now, let's get these men forward. 11th South Carolina is our target. Once we have hunted them away, we should take control of the point. We're now rear flanking some of their units, but some of our men are flanked as well because they have problems dispersing over this small crossing. Let's get them just forward. Come on, man. Hit them, hit them, hit them. Over here, these men are about ready to rejoin the fight. Very good. I want them over here on this flank. Some of their forces are now getting pushed towards our flank. Let's get the cavalry from Connecticut forward as well. And over here, we are still holding, but the enemy has not really contested this flank yet. Let's disperse our line just a little bit. And let's order the infantry to fire on long range. These men are also needed to hold our flank. Very good, and these artillery pieces can move down. They cannot really do a lot over here. These men are going to be deployed to hold this section, while the rest of them I will order to move forward. We have now officially taken the point. We are still looking at a minor defeat officially. But we can now see that we are crushing the enemy flanks. Cavalry over here, charge down these guns. I know you are currently getting flanked, but help is on the way. You should not break under this. The 7th Virginia Battery is not a strong unit. 22nd Georgia is over there. Cavalry, dismount. Do not give the enemy cold steel. Face the enemy and open fire. Over here, these men need to focus on the enemy again and start shelling them. 4th Mississippi Battery is still there. Let's annihilate them. We can see that the enemy is now getting pocketed. Some of their units are now routing and breaking, and many of their forces are out of ammunition. A messy fight, but so far we are holding. Over here the enemy is recovering. We are still holding on these sections. Once this is cleared up, we are going to send more forces over our flank. Come on, man. Keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. 4th Illinois, push up to the enemy. And over here we need to focus on these enemy forces. 2nd Tennessee Battery is in our rear together with the 14th Georgia. Let's order our cavalry to attack once more. We're going to get these cavalrymen backwards. And they still have a bunch of forces over here in the woods. Second Arkansas is still here. They have taken almost no casualties. And the 20th Georgia has not been in contact, it seems. Let's finally order our soldiers to disperse a little bit. We now should have the movement on the battlefield. We can see that the enemy has the 13th South Carolina reforming in our rear. And it is time that we move our artillery forward. More enemy forces are breaking left and right. Let's get also the brigade commanders and divisional commanders up. And we can see that the enemy is now starting to run. Very good. How is our flank looking? Still basically not contested. The 6th Illinois has taken 12 casualties. They are apparently wavering. The rest is looking fine. Let's get these 4 men forward just a little bit to give out a little bit more fire support. Over here I want these 14 pounders to focus on counter battery fire. And these artillery pieces are needed to deploy on the road. I do not know why they want to march forward. I have not given this order. And fighting over here is currently breaking down. Very good. The Mississippi Battery is broken. Let's get the men closer to the fight. And let's squeeze out this last remain of enemy resistance. After that we can focus on the enemy sides. And can enjoy this so far minor victory. I don't think that they are going to get a lot of reinforcements. And I don't think that they can effectively recover from that. Casualties in this fight were high. We have already taken over 1300 casualties while the enemy suffered over 1900 losses. Almost 2000. And it looks like we have the first brigades ready to deploy towards the enemy. Let's get the men up. Men, if you're already facing the enemy, let's at least face them the right way. These artillery pieces I have carelessly deployed into the forest. They are not very effective over here. Let's reshift some of our guns. And make sure that we can ruin the Confederates' day. Over here our guns are now under direct threat. Fire at will and shoot on Robertson's detachment. We're going to send help. Don't you worry. This regiment is going to deploy over here. We can see that the 2nd Tennessee Battery is recovering. They are behind our own lines. This is not the best look for us. Let's try to get our cavalry up north so that we can deal with them. Over here we are still hunting the enemy forces. We have the 20th Georgia over here, 42 casualties only, and the 2nd Arkansas only took 28. These men are really lucky. But we are of course doing our very best so that their luck runs out. Some of our men are out of ammunition. And the 1st DC cavalry is needed down here to help protecting our flanks. These men can now also move up. It looks like these forces might break soon. But we are still contesting the enemy. 4th South Carolina is still fighting. And it looks like the 2nd Tennessee Battery is shooting at us. They are in our rear. Where is our cavalry? Men, mount up. And give them the cold steel. We are going to rout these guns from the battlefield before they can do any more harm. Over here I want this regiment to further deploy on the enemy flank. And this brigade, where are your units? You are going to face to the north. We now need to build up another defensive line, as currently we are not attacking anymore, we are now defending. The same goes with these forces. They're going to set up over here. And I think the rest of the men are currently still needed to hunt down the enemy that is still behind our lines. Some of these forces got new orders. I forgot to check which one I ordered on the defense. Let's now move up. The 1st Connecticut Cavalry is about to approach the enemy batteries. Very good. But I guess they are unable to catch them. There is a fence in the way and horses are of course not able to jump, as we all know. We have almost destroyed the 4th South Carolina. They have only 105 men left. 150 they have left. They have taken 105 casualties. These men need to move up just a little bit so they can hit the 2nd Arkansas Battery. And it looks like we have lost a couple artillery pieces. These men have suffered greatly, and over here 2 of our regiments are falling back. This is not so good. Let's get our brigade commanders backwards. And these artillery pieces also need to withdraw. They can do nothing over here. But this of course happens when someone decides to attack the enemy without getting the orders to do so. Let's fill up these gaps. And let's push on the enemy. More forces should show up soon. And we can send the brigade commanders forward, as well as our divisional commanders, to reduce the order delays. And finally the 2nd Arkansas is running. They only took a couple casualties. And it looks like the enemy is reforming their ranks over here. Let's therefore order these men into a defensive position. I know the guns of them are not going to be that effective over here. But we need to at least do something to hold our lines. It looks like this brigade is completely scattered alongside the battlefield. Let's order all of them over here. We can see that the that the 2nd Arkansas is coming up. We can charge them. Come on. The enemy is already running. We should have an easy time inflicting a couple casualties on those. And our men are moving forward. Our horsemen are holding our rear. I don't think that the enemy has the option to break through. We are inflicting more casualties on the 4th South Carolina. And over here our center is holding again. The 2nd Massachusetts can send out some skirmishers to capture these guns. And over here we need to send the 23rd Massachusetts forward to hit the enemy. These men can shift on the 56th Virginia, while the rest of our forces is going to focus on the 55th. And we have the 4th Pennsylvania Cavalry over here. Let's order them forward on the enemy flank. We need to be careful, those men only have 147 soldiers remaining. And over here we are going to send this lone regiment forward. I do not care to which brigade most of these forces belong to, I'm just going to send them into battle. The enemy has now suffered almost a quarter of the enemy force has now become a casualty. Very good, soon they will have to break off this engagement or they're going to risk a major defeat. Something that I will not complain about. Let's order these guns to focus on the 52nd. Very good, we are able to hit the enemy. These artillery pieces, can they also rain down there? Very nice. These guns are getting outflanked, but I don't think the enemy can actually hit them. Over here reinforcements are arriving, let's make sure that they are getting up here. And we can see that the enemy should not be a threat on our right flank. 5th Illinois apparently still has 1800 men. Let's get them into the front. And unfortunately these skirmishers were driven back. Let's send the 52nd forward. I hope the 17th North Carolina cannot outflank them. And we can see that some enemy detachments has taken over artillery. Unfortunately, these men are getting outflanked. We need to pull them back, otherwise they might break. Over here the force is still holding. They only have 124 men left. How is our cavalry looking? Yes, we have arrived on the enemy flank. Let's dismount. Do not give them the cold steel. I do not know why you always want to do that. And let's order these men to advance onto the enemy. Yes, now we can fire at them. The 55th should break quickly now. Our men are coming up. The enemy is low on ammunition as well as we are. These men still need to fire on the enemy. And over here I think we should send the 3rd Vermont forward to give some more fire on the 1st Georgia. These cavalrymen are still relatively fresh. And it would be good to hurt them a little bit more so that they cannot replenish their losses later. They have some units that are reforming over here, but our flank so far is still holding and we have more forces coming up. Let's give these units the order to attack. Very good. Maybe we can immediately hit their artillery. This would be very good for us. And we are going to send the 22nd Massachusetts forward to protect our flank. Oh well, it turns out we cannot do that without getting far too close to the enemy. "55th Virginia is still holding on, even though we are shooting them from multiple directions. And it looks like some of us are targeting their brigade commander. Officers are of course always a valuable target. And before this fight comes to a close, let's take a closer look on our casualties. So far we have suffered 299 killed and 1300 wounded, as well as 356 men missing, meaning that we have in total suffered 1997 casualties, 11% of our core, and we have unfortunately also lost 8 artillery pieces. On the other side, however, the rebels suffered over 387 killed and 1700 wounded and 412 missing, meaning that they have lost over 2500 soldiers, 27% of their entire force, and they have also lost over 19 artillery pieces. If we are now able to press our attack forward, we might be able to inflict a major defeat on the enemy. The 2nd Texas battery is over here. They have reformed, but they are without any form of artillery. They had to abandon that because of a previous engagement. And our forces are now hammering down on the 52nd. Over here the force is still holding. They have lost 50% of their force. And to this flank we have driven away the 1st Georgia once more. Let's send our men up to Canty's detachment, while these men are still focusing on the 14th Georgia. We're also going to send the 4th Illinois forward, and these artillery pieces can set up over here. Let's also get these men up. And over here we can see that the 11th South Carolina is moving up again. They have lost the majority of their soldiers. Still, we have to deal with that. We have lost the 7th Pennsylvania battery. They are withdrawing. They took a couple casualties. I do not know where they were stationed. Maybe they were left behind and the enemy was able to sneak up on them. Let's get these guns forward so that not the same can happen. And over here we have finally driven away these soldiers. Now, let's move up on the enemy sides. We can see that the 4th is now in action. We have the 9th over here as a rearguard together with the 17th Massachusetts. And there these men are falling back again. Can we send some soldiers forward to capture some of the enemy artillery? This would be very welcome, especially since we have lost a couple pieces. Let's get these men up to make sure that no one can sneak up on us again. And we can see that the 16th Georgia and the 2nd Arkansas have apparently reformed their ranks. So let's focus on the defense of our rear. These guns I therefore want to focus over here so that they are well protected from the enemy. Very good. We are now outflanking the enemy force over here. And we are still raining down on them over in these sections. And we are now able to hit the enemy artillery detachments. Very good. This is what I want to see. These soldiers need to move forward on the 17th North Carolina. And remarkably, the 4th South Carolina is still holding. Very good. More forces are coming up. And we can see that over here the 16th Georgia is moving up. They apparently want to take out our artillery. Let's order the 9th Maine forward. We are not going to allow that to happen. Down here we need to send our soldiers to advance and to drive back a few more of the enemy forces. The same goes with these soldiers over here. Let's just order a dispersed attack on multiple enemy locations. These artillery pieces need to move forward though, so that we can actually hit them. And it looks like Heidmann's brigade commander is moving up. The 2nd Tennessee Battery is still over here. And we have now routed these enemy forces on our flank. Let's get this brigade forward onto the river line. These artillery detachments are now broken and we have won a major victory. Finally, this battle was long, this battle was costly. But I am very happy that we have turned this not into a minor but into a major victory. The Battle of Guineas Bridge is over and we have suffered in total 2064 casualties and we have lost 11 artillery pieces. On the Confederate side, however, they suffered over 2800 casualties and lost 23 of their valuable guns. Let's hope that we can get some of our artillery pieces back though. And after our triumphant victory, the Army of the Potomac is now fleeing into panic and Lieutenant Colonel Nagel loses face and Colonel Gist also loses face. And from the 2800 casualties that we have inflicted, over 426 of them were killed and over 1004 were captured. We also have suffered over 2000 casualties, with 310 men killed and 363 missing. The rest of our men are wounded and we were also able to capture 1490 rifles and 10 artillery pieces. This should mean that our artillery is still in good order. And we can now see that the Confederate army is withdrawing. But we ourselves are now in engagement with the enemy. We have successfully taken over Staunton, Virginia, but a Lewis division is coming up. They in total have over 7,500 men and some artillery, while we only have about 5,000. We can order our soldiers to fall back, otherwise we could of course try to entrench and to beat off the enemy. Our soldiers are going to get besieged, but we were now also able to capture Lynchburg. Our men are in good order, and I'm going to send these men forward to relieve the siege. The same goes for McDowell's Raiders. They have not gotten any more reinforcements in the meantime. But still, we are in dire need of some reinforcements. We are going to get the men forward, and then we should be able to drive back the enemy over here. The enemy has more forces situated down there, and we can see that the army of the valley is withdrawing. The army of Northern Virginia is still here, together with the rest of the army of the Shenandoah. But the rest of the enemy army is withdrawing closer to Richmond. But I think that this is a good point to end this episode. I hope you have enjoyed it, and until we meet again, I wish you all a great time.